Oh, dear Lord. Ew. Not good. Round it off. Ah, gross. I've never tried this before. You'll be here to witness what happens. I've got my eye protection on though.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.
Welcome back to another episode where I am saving this GTI from the scrapyard. Over the past few days I have been prepping this area with some filler, building up some layers. I aim to get it as closely matched to the other side as possible. As this car has been sat for so long, there are a few mechanical things we need to look at. The handbrake, for example, is currently doing nothing, so I need to look at where it's seized. If we take a look where the cable meets the caliper, we can see that this side is released. On this side, however, you can see it's still locked. I'm guessing this cable is seized. Very seized. Okay. To get this cable off, I now need to take the center console out. Oh, dear Lord. That is grim. Look at that. That's mold. Got some ketchup there, but that's off. Lovely. Have a look. Ew. It's just sugar, so it's probably alright. What else we got? Tangy tomato dip with some added mould. A nice assortment of pens. Ah, gross. That is awful. Well, hopefully I can get some bolts. That's for the battery mount, I believe. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, let's start with them. There we go. Probably have to take this carpet up now. There it is. Removing the cable was tricky as it's tucked so tight under the carpet, which is all in one piece, so it's hard to pull it up off the floor. In a minute you'll see there's a rigid aluminium sleeve, which also has to be bent slightly to be prized out, but with a bit of perseverance and huffing and puffing, I managed to get it out. I've got the new cable. This end is looking good. On the original it has this metal piece that runs under the floor in front of the back seats. I'm hoping I can transfer this to the new one. In actual fact, I'm not going to bother, as the new one is in a sheath anyway. This will turn out to be a waste of time as I'll have to take it back off the car. I will explain shortly, but most of the time making assumptions normally costs you in time. I have taken the cable back off because you do need this piece. In fact, you need this piece to hold it in place in the cab. I'll move on to another job for now, and in the meantime I'll try and find the right part. To be honest, the passenger side isn't much better. It is moving, not far away from being seized, so I'll probably order two. So that's the other cable out. Back to the cables. Those of you out there that are Volkswagen and Audi specialists are probably shouting at the screen saying these actually come in multiple parts. You have the cable holder or cable tube, which is this aluminium piece. The cable I installed yesterday goes into it. But what fooled me is the fact that these are attached, so I'll have to cut these off. Then I need to make sure the cable that I have already fits. Then I just need to order another one the same. Hopefully I can repair this piece. It split when I got a bit heavy-handed taking it out. Making good use of the 3M tape, I repair the tube. Now I'm trying to take it apart gently with as much care as possible, but in the end I needed to get the grinder. I ended up having to drill the cable out of this tube. Whether it's down to the fact it was seized or the original cables aren't supposed to split, I'm not sure. This should just slide straight on now. I'm presuming this piece should butt up to that point there on the new cable. Now it's just a case of sliding the aluminium sleeve onto the new cable without damaging the plastic that protects the cable. Before I get the parts back in the car, I need to put the rubber grommet back on so I can seal it into the chassis. taking care not to bend the new cable harshly. I start installing the passenger side, also taking care not to do damage to the repair I did. That seems to have done the trick. We have some tension on the cable, slotted back in well. Now we need to get the rubber seal back into the chassis, which should be quite tricky. Now I'm moving on to the rear brakes. I'm taking the calipers off and checking the pads. I have reason to believe there is a wheel bearing gone on the car, but I'm not sure which corner it is yet. So now is a good time to check that while I'm doing the brakes. To be honest, for the amount of time the car has been sat still, the brakes are really not in that bad a condition. There's some light surface rust, but from what I can tell, nothing's really seized, so a good clean up and we should be good to go. With the caliper and pads completely removed, the disc is now free to check for play. Rotating the disc and firmly pulling back and forth from the edges is a pretty simple way to check for play. This one seems good. Putting the brake caliper and pads back on now, I'm just thinking I'll probably leave the rear pads as stock. I may look at upgrading the front brake pads though. After all, this is a heavy machine. Doing exactly the same to the driver's side. I have noticed generally the driver's side is slightly more rusty and looking worse for wear compared to the passenger side. Not entirely sure why that is. Normally it's the other way around in the UK as we drive on the left hand side of the road. But anyway, everything looks good, nothing's seized, and the wheel bearing hasn't gone on this one either. I have noticed some more rust on the top of the wheel arch on the driver's side. Now I'm going to remove the arch liner. Unfortunately, all the tiny screws are rusty and seized, so it's a combination of techniques to get these out. Using the drill is quite a good option. However, the hardened steel screws soon destroy the drill bits. Another technique is to use a hammer and screwdriver to chisel them loose, and then use a pair of pliers to slowly undo them. And finally, the arch liner is free. This car has been like a treasure hunt. I slowly find parts of the car in weird and often disgusting places. If neither of the before methods work, you can always rely on the angle grinder. Both lower left and right front arch liners are still attached to the under tray, so this means I can remove it nicely in one piece. Now I'm taking the front calipers apart. These were really seized and hard to get loose. The front wheel bearing checks are a bit harder as the drive shafts are bolted inside the hub. This one does have a bit of play, but I will compare it to the other side once I have that off. Next, I'm going to take the anti-roll bar link off. I want to get these uprights out because the passenger side spring is snapped. I'm going to replace both springs, that's why I'm taking this side off. I am hoping this end will come off because the top's gone really tight. Come on, let it round off. It's rounded off. Oh, it was so close. Right, new set of drop links, I think. Oh great, yeah, that's what you get for using the wrong tools. This spark plug socket is now ruined. Shocking. What makes it worse is I actually have a proper socket. Or I realised I had a proper socket that fits, 21mm. Removing the track rod ends. I'm just hoping I can get them off without having to replace them. Success! Look at all the thread lock. Thanks to the tapered fit, it's well locked in there. 2 for 2. I've got my universal bonnet stay. The top mount bolts should be under this scuttle panel. Here we go. That's going to be fun. That is rusty. I have just gone around the top mount and put a bit of spray around the nut on the top. I'll let that soak in. I have also covered the area where the strut goes into the hub. I will let all that soak overnight. Then we can see about getting the uprights off the car. I have the socket for the hub nuts. Let's see how tight these are. Not too bad. I've just gone and popped the drive shafts out. This one's pretty good. There's no play, no noise. However, on the driver's side, same thing. Not good. Slight play. So this is the culprit, and I'll need to replace the wheel bearing. Next, I'm going to do something I strongly advise you never do. As I don't have any spring compressors here, I'm just going to cut the spring in the middle. This should release the pressure to allow me to get the upright out. Then, when I go to put them back on with spring compressors, slot it into the hub. Doing it this way means I don't have to take the bottom end apart and undo all the plumbing. I've never tried this before, so you'll be here to witness what happens. I've got my eye protection on though. Oh, I thought that was it then. Got a bit more to go. Should probably keep my hands out of there. There we go. Alright. Less dramatic than anticipated. I have been undoing the bolts for the top mount. Unfortunately, this one's rounding out. You can see how rusty it is. So, I need to get all this trim out of the way so I can cut the head of the bolt off. I guess that part would be called a gutter. There's the progress. It's taking a while. Finally, that took some doing. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, go and do so, and we'll continue to sort this mess very soon.